Hey, this is Forsaken Giant. Before we explain what mods actually do, let's start with one of the best ways to farm them. To do this, we need to kill this boss, ideally within a couple of seconds. From the boss you get this multi-selection weapon mod crate. It allows you to select the weapon mod category such as Power Surge and then gives you several mods from that category. If you repeatedly choose the same category, you will gradually unlock better versions of those mods. Any duplicate that is below your highest unlocked level is automatically converted into mod dust. That makes Forsaken Giant particularly useful for weapon mods. Once you can comfortably farm him on Pro difficulty, you can repeat the fight, open these crates and focus on the weapon mod category your build needs. Forsaken Giant also provides plenty of energy links. Those energy links can be converted into mod dust, which then helps you collect more armor mods as well. However, this is not something a completely new character can immediately farm. You need level 50, access to Pro difficulty, and a build that is capable of killing this boss efficiently. This is the best method, but playing the game normally will naturally accumulate mod dust and energy links as well. For armor mods, mod dust becomes especially useful. In the mod shop you can purchase mod dust with energy links. You can then spend that dust on crates for specific armor slots, such as pants, gloves, etc. These crates give you random mods for that particular slot, but every mod you collect contributes towards the rating shown in the mod collection. When you reach certain rating milestones, you receive a selection crate. These allow you to choose the exact mod and suffix you want for that slot. That is why this method is so useful. You are not only opening random crates, you are also progressing towards guaranteed selection crates containing the mods your build actually needs. Until you can farm him comfortably, just play the game normally. Silos, monolith, other activities such as gravity airdrops will naturally provide you enough mods to establish a basic setup. Once your build is functional, you can begin farming him more efficiently. So now, what are mods and why do they matter? Every weapon and armor piece has one mod slot. Mods provide special effects and additional stats, and together they contribute a major part of your damage's overall power. Weapon mods are divided by weapon mechanic. If your weapon uses Bullseye, Burn, Power Surge or another mechanic, you generally want a mod that is designed to support the same mechanic. For example, my P90 uses Bullseye, so I'm using Vulnerability Amplifier. This increases the damage taken by marked targets and directly supports what the weapon is designed to do. A burn weapon, such as the KVD Boom Boom, needs a burn mod instead, while a power surge weapon like the AUG would need a power surge mod. The first priority is always getting the correct main effect. A high level mod that has no synergy with your weapon is usually worse than a lower level mod that actually supports the build. Also, every mod has a suffix. The suffix determines 4 secondary attributes in the middle of the mod. Different suffixes therefore create different versions of the same main mod. My Vulnerability Amplifier has the Violent suffix, which provides attributes such as weapon damage, critical damage and magazine capacity. Magazine capacity is particularly important for this P90 build, which is why I'm using this version. Other builds may use the Bullseye suffix instead. The main effect remains Vulnerability Amplifier, but the secondary attributes are different, as you can see here. The correct suffix depends on how your weapon deals damage. Weapon damage and critical builds commonly use suffixes such as Violent, which provide attributes like weapon damage, critical damage and magazine capacity. Elemental or status damage builds commonly use Deviant Energy, because it provides elemental and status damage. This is not an absolute rule for every single slot, but it gives you a useful starting point. Weapon damage builds generally want weapon damage attributes, while elemental builds generally want elemental and status attributes. Armor mods work slightly differently, because every equipment slot has its own pool of main effects, while the suffixes still follow the same rules. Chest or top mods are generally defensive, so not that important. Pants mods frequently interact with reloading, magazine management and bonuses that build during the current magazine. Mask mods often directly improve your weapon's main mechanic. Because of that, the mask mod is commonly one of the most important mods in a build after the weapon mod. For example, Blaze Amplifier grants additional PSI intensity damage for every stack of burn. That directly supports a KVD burn build. Gloves and boot mods tend to provide strong offensive effects. Rush Hour, for example, increases the damage as you lose health, making it particularly valuable for a low health build. Helmet mods offer additional effects or often a trade-off depending on the build. Fortune's Favor, for example, removes the ability to deal weak spot damage in exchange for additional crit rate and critical damage. Very strong for a P90 build. The exact importance of each armor slot depends on the build, but the weapon and mask mods are frequently the most build defining. Those are the first 2 slots I would check when putting a build together. Next we have mod levels. Mods range from a level 1 to a level 17. The level represents the combined strengths of the 4 secondary attributes. Here's the low-level Deviant Energy mod. It provides 1.6% elemental damage and 1.2% status damage. At level 17, those values increase to 8% and 6%. That difference across several equipment slots becomes a significant amount of damage. However, the priority remains. First, use the correct main mod. Second, get the correct suffix. And third, improve its level. Small side note, because this topic is way too complicated for a beginner guide, there are suffixes like Luna, Arrow, Downstar. These are conditional suffixes, often requiring a specific mechanic to be used. For example, arrow mods require you to be up in the air to increase your damage. They are generally better than normal mods if conditions are met. Let's continue with the guide. Last but not least, we have shiny mods. Shiny mods have the same secondary attributes as the normal level 17 version, but their main effect receives a small additional bonus. My shiny vulnerability amplifier, for example, deals an additional 5% damage to targets affected by bullseye. Shiny mods are the final optimization, not something beginners need to chase immediately. A complete collection of the correct regular mods is much more useful than investing everything into one shiny mod, while the rest of your setup is incomplete. For weapon mods, one useful strategy is to focus on the category required for your current build until you earn a guaranteed level 17 selection crate. Select the mod you actually need and then begin expanding your collections to other builds. Finally, how do you know which exact combination of mods a build needs? Realistically, there's no simple universal answer. Builds depend on how the weapon works, which key armor piece you use and how all the effects interact. As a beginner, I recommend finding a recent build guide for your weapon and using its mod setup as a starting point. The word recent is important. Once Human's mod system was overhauled, weapons have been rebalanced and several interactions or bugs used by older builds have been changed. A build from 6 months or a year ago may no longer function as shown. This happened to me with an older KVD build that relied on an interaction that had already been fixed. Check when the guide was uploaded and whether it uses the current mod system before investing heavily into it. For your first serious build, a normal weapon damage build may also be easier to establish than an elemental build. Elemental and status damage scale with PSI intensity, which is affected by the quality and blueprint stars of your armor. So for elemental builds, a high star armor is more important than a high star weapon. If your equipment is still low star, an elemental build may perform considerably worse than a finished version shown in a guide. Okay, let's recap. So the short version is: collect mods naturally while progressing. Use the main mod that supports your weapon mechanic. Choose suffixes that match the way your build deals damage. Prioritize the weapon and mask mods and then complete the remaining armor slots. Improve those mods towards level 17. And only start chasing shiny mods once the complete build is already functional. Once you can efficiently farm Forsaken Giant on Pro difficulty, you can use his weapon mod crates and energy links to accelerate the entire process. Shout out to White Zero for creating this P90 build. It works very well for farming Forsaken Giant. Hopefully this gives you enough information to understand what you are looking for, how to begin building a proper mod setup. If this video helped you, consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.